No. So,
How do I make myself?
yeah.
I'm on the Zoom.
So, um, you, I included the
Here,
curriculum vitae of the lady that
video.
uh, or young lady that I selected as assistant tour guide. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that, but the cold resume does not indicate the who she is at all. And I had Harry Elger join me on the interview, uh, and because he was the one who led the tours in 23, and so a member of the Prior Lake Club that I was with at that point, and we both were unanimous, and boy, this everybody's going to be happy with her. And the second one that I interviewed was also a young Ukrainian woman who was a senior, also very accomplished, but I didn't feel that she was kind of as warm and fuzzy, and it would be as much fun to have along as Anna. But we could have it was a win-win. We couldn't have lost it with either choice. But I think you will really enjoy having Anna as the assistant tour guide. So she's a junior at LCC and was highly recommended by one of her instructors as well. So um, looking forward to that. I told her she could take part of this meeting tonight, but that was like at 3:30 in the morning for her, so she declined. We may need to have some Saturday morning meetings or something, so that she can join us on a later call when we get closer. So that's the update. Other than that, no new news on the deal for going to into Europe in May, in terms of visas or anything. So we'll just stay tuned on that one. So with that, if anybody has any questions, comments, whatever, let's open it up to anybody who wishes to say something.
Um, Rick, I was just going to mention, I think I'm unmuted. Yep. I was just going to mention, you meant the background check for Europe isn't confirmed yet, although it's saying mid 25. But if anybody's flying through England, through like London, um, there's they've got something called ETA, and I believe it is for anybody even transferring and traveling through London or through England or the UK. I believe that's the case. It's not just if you're actually going there to visit, but um,
Well, I can
so
tell you I
FYI.
fly through London. I fly through London tomorrow, so I'll tell you guys.
Yeah, because I think it was as of January
When I
5th.
flew through London going this way in
Or
December, there was no problem. But
no, I think it was January 5th that it became effective. So yeah, let us know, or if you make it through.
Barbara,
I mean,
you
American
mentioned that.
Airlines did not,
This is
when I
here.
just checked in to
Okay.
my flight, did not require me to do it.
But Barbara, I do recall reading that as well. So thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. So anything, everybody else had any idea, any ideas, questions?
Rick, are you going to put out a spreadsheet about flights so we could possibly look at?
I will if I have the information, which means that each of you will need to send that information to me for that to have any meaningful content.
Could you possibly put it in a shared spreadsheet that we can enter? Because it might be interest. I mean, for example, I might pick a flight that I see that other people are on
Ah,
before I book it. So, or how many people are staying longer, in Finland, or how many people are going early into Budapest or whatever.
okay, good idea. So that means I'll need to learn how to do that through Google Sheets. Okay, I'll make a note of it. Otherwise, I'll forget.
Has anyone done their flights yet?
I'm still looking or still watching them. I'm going to be going into. I'm flying north to south, and I'm going to go into Helsinki. I think a day or so early, so I can spend a couple extra days in Helsinki, and then go over to Estonia a day early to spend some time there. But I haven't yet.
Yeah, Michelle and I have also, we booked our flights and we're doing an extra day in Finland and an extra day in Budapest.
Are you on the first week or the first group or second
The
group?
first group, yes.
Where are you flying out of?
Dallas or
I'm sorry,
Dallas?
Dallas. Okay.
And Mark and I also are flying out of Minneapolis a day early into Helsinki. So
Okay. So a number of us will be then.
Yeah, I will be going a day early because I was trying to intentionally get there before any of the rest of you did. But you spoiled my plan.
I think we're 2 days ahead, actually.
Yeah.
Just-
I think I'm leaving on the 7th, getting there on the 8th. A lot of people will be getting there on the 9th. So yeah.
Yeah. One thing, Rick, if you're, or I shouldn't say if, when you're creating that shared spreadsheet, maybe if there's a column for, the flight information that you've already mentioned, but that if people are arriving early, if, what hotel they're staying in, if it's not the one you've already, if it's not the pre-tour or the post-tour.
Right.
Because we might be staying in different hotels, but near each other if we wanted to meet up for lunch or a drink or something like that.
Yeah, if you go downtown, all those hotels are pretty close together,
Mhm.
pretty much right around that city square.
Yeah.
So if you get near the airport, then that's further away.
Yeah.
So cheaper, but further away.
Mhm.
And maybe some of this has been talked about and I'm late to the game, but you did mention that most people take the ferry and fly out of Helsinki. Is that for cost reasons? Is that more convenient? Is it a better airport or what?
Well, if you can leave from Tallinn, and most flights from Tallinn first go to Helsinki and then fly from there. And the ferry ride is cheap enough, and it's kind of an event of its own. For those who haven't done much ferry stuff, it's a very, very nice ferry. And it's not exactly a cruise ship, but let's say it aspires to that. Including shopping and restaurants and booze and all that. But it's a nice 2 hour ferry ride. So,
To that point, Rick, on the ferry, for those of us that might be going over from Tallinn or from Helsinki to Tallinn a day early, that I'm thinking, two things on the ferry. Do you need to book the tickets in advance? And so that's one thing. And then secondly, if you're prone to any motion sickness, is it the kind of ferry ride that it might be good to have some Dramamine or a patch?
In my experience, it's for smooth waters.
Okay.
It could be different that day, but and it's a big enough ship that I certainly didn't see anybody having any difficulty.
Okay.
With
right.
that. And as far as booking ahead, you can. I'm not doing that for the group because I would need all the passport information from everybody. And it's not that difficult. The day of is go up to it's a pretty big ship and holds quite a few people. We're going on a Saturday at about 10 o'clock, so it's a popular time. So there will be quite a few people on the ship, but I've never had any difficulty getting on.
Okay.
Day of, we obviously just need to get everybody's passports and go through all that business. But it's like I say, it's an experience of its own. If you lived in Seattle or around there, it's like I'm just another ferry. Except this ferry is a lot nicer than the Seattle ferries.
Okay.
Doesn't have cars on them and much nicer.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So, any other questions? So, one thing I still have to do, well, actually I got 2 things I need to do yet to firm everything up. One is getting the tickets for Auschwitz. because I couldn't get them earlier because they don't even open up the possibility earlier than now. So now that it's January, I guess I could have tried January 1, but I'll need to do that now to, to do that. In the event we cannot get a group tickets, what we've done in the past is we've just shown up and we end up getting a window that we can get through, even because we could be a bunch of individuals or we could be another group. One way or another, we can get in. But I will make that attempt to get there now that they are probably open. I didn't try yet, but when I tried before, I couldn't get through because they hadn't opened the reservations yet. So the second thing is in many of these cities in the past, I have lined up local guides. I go through a website called showaround.com, where people go on there and say that, hey, I'm willing to, be a guide for my city. And some charge nothing, and some are professionals there. Had very good luck in the past in doing that. So I will be doing that. The guide that we had used at first is no longer in Budapest. But I'll be doubling back with the ones that had helped last year because they were all found to be acceptable. So don't know whether they're still available, but we'll arrange for that as well. So have someone local who knows the way around. I could do most of it, but it's just always interesting to have someone local so you can ask a question and they will actually know the answer instead of having me make it up. So.
And Rick, were you going to be putting together a WhatsApp group for the northbound and the southbound, the two different groups?
I can do that as well.
That'd be great. It doesn't have to be right now, but just as we get a little closer, that's just a nice.
Yeah.
We've done that for other tours.
Yeah,
trips.
that is what we've done in the past as well, in case someone gets separated. And which did happen in 2019 in Prague from the castle. A guy kind of lost the group and ended up. We told him where to meet us downtown, and he walked down the hill all the way down into the town, and we're to meet him at the clock. We didn't always. We at the first time we didn't realize what clock they were talking about. We said, really, there's all kinds of clocks, and it really what everybody should have been thinking about was the astrological clock. So that was kind of funny. We eventually found each other and had a good dinner after that together. But that always is something that's possible to happen.
Well, it's nice for some of the pre-planning stuff too, as people are traveling or in the airports or on the way or.
I have shared the list. Now we've got a couple new people, so I will have to reshare that list of who it is with the addresses or the email addresses and phone numbers. So as well. So if you wish to do that before I set up a WhatsApp list, you have a way of reaching each other. So we on our first tour in 2019, we also had someone who had a tendency to kind of wander off, and the joke of that tour was, "Where's Bruce?" We were always looking, "Where's Bruce?" He was somehow separated from us over and over and over again. So different personalities as with groups, but we made it work. Anything else anybody's got?
Nobody said that's our picture. Not on.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, you got something?
Hey, this is Kent. I was just gonna ask about money. Is it mostly euros over there, or they're different for different countries?
It's euros except for three countries. Czech Republic, Poland, and Hungary. And so what I've done in the past is I've gone to the cash machine and got a bunch of that local currency. And then I've served as the change master. So that everybody doesn't have to go to the ATMs because they're not always very convenient. But if someone wants to go get all their own cash, fine. One thing I don't want to do is waste a lot of time with people going to cash machines when we can be spending our time more productively.
Do all of, I mean, I assume it is the case. I know it is in Hungary and others, but I don't know about some of the Eastern, like Estonia and such. Chip cards, credit cards, readily used or not so much?
Credit cards are readily used.
Okay.
If you obviously if with a debit card, and even with a credit card, if you have a PIN, it might be a good idea to know what it is, just in case they ask for it. Supposedly with a credit card, you're not supposed to have to use it, but I have run into cases where I did have it and I go, oops, I don't know it. And because my credit card, I had never used a PIN with a credit card.
Right.
So, that's, little kind of what do you call belt and suspenders rule, make sure you don't end up with your pants around your ankles. So the biggest thing that if you haven't done it already, make sure you have your proper adapter for electrical 220 volt. If you have a laptop or shaver or some shavers anyway, and cell phones, you don't need a transformer or
converter.
Excuse me. Yeah. But if you want hair dryers or anything like that, an inverter will be needed.
And I can look it up too, but if you know this, is when you talk about the adapters, is it all the European with the 2 holes, or are there other ones? It's all the 2 holes.
Yeah,
okay.
And then in the frequently asked questions on the website, there's a picture of that if you
okay.
So that works. So other than that,
So Rick,
do
you still have openings?
No. I would say with one possible exception, which was really a big exception. I had someone sign up and then they really, really, really wanted a friend to be able to join her on a trip going north from Budapest. And I said, well, we do have that back row of 4 seats that we are planning to reserve for luggage. I'm betting that we could free up one of those seats. And if you are willing to sit with the luggage and not displace anybody else, that would have to be the agreement, I could let you come. And we may live to regret it. May live to regret it. But I wanted to make sure that no one who had signed up before was disadvantaged at all. Anyway, her friend says, well, we can trade off anyway, the 2 of us. And so anyway, we'll see how that works. So saying that, there is a possibility that we could do the same thing going south. I would, it would be, I'd have to have a really, really strong request for that to happen, but so basically I would say we're full. It would have to be something extraordinary.
Sure.
But having said that, talking about luggage, we're going to be moving most every day except for the free days, the 3 free days. So you're not going to want to take a whole lot of luggage. And I know you all are seasoned travelers, and so you're not going to show up with three big suitcases. Uh, but just to make sure we have sufficient space, traveling light would be a good idea. If you need laundry, you can get that done on your free day, from the hotel in Warsaw and Vienna. So that should not be a major issue. But please travel light. The back of the bus outside, there is a luggage storage area. But when you have, total of 13, 16 of us with the bus driver and assistant tour guide and myself, that's what storage space is simply not sufficient. That's why reserving those last 4 seats is what we need to do. But travel light and make it easier for yourself. And although we'll be going through the countries that all have signed the Schengen Agreement, where you're not supposed to need your passport, we will every hotel we go in, you'll need your passport. So you have to keep that handy. Have a handy place to store that where it can be safely done. So, but I'm looking forward to it. As I've said many times, the places we're going to are interesting in themselves. But bottom line, what I found is the people and what they enjoy the most is each other. And it's when you're doing something together, you just seem to really break down barriers and really enjoy having going on.
Say, Rick,
Yeah.
and I can't remember if you've talked about this before, so if you have, I apologize for asking again. But with our service trip or with our trips, we usually have some sort of a service component, and that can be broadly defined. I was thinking you were looking at possibilities. I didn't know.
Oh, we don't.
I can't remember what that was.
Okay, it's not firmed up yet. I guess that's a third thing I need to follow up on. I've developed a good friend in Klaipeda, and I was communicating with him. And the last communication I had with him was that he linked in the chairman of the club, that the chairman would take care of that. I've not heard anything from him since, so I will be reminding him.
Okay.
If he does not respond adequately, then I will contact the women's club. They do have men's clubs and then one women's club. And if you want to get something done, you ask the women to do it. They've got a very good women's club.
Okay.
And but I was working through my friend that I had gone to several meetings with and so forth, and we did a small project before. They've got in 2018 when I was there, they were just really transforming their care of orphans to away from orphanages and actually getting kids with families. But there was still an orphanage in Klaipeda that we went to, and ultimately we had a service project. We sent them money for them to take care of it. But when I went there, the rooms, they had decent beds, but the rooms were just bare. We're used to, kids having toys and books and whatnot. Boy, you could see a dresser with nothing on it. And they did have some toys in a playroom, but in the rooms themselves, they had nothing. I have suggested that is there something more that we can do there as an idea, but I was open to what they thought that would be, really the best for what they need now. But I will check on that again.
And Rick, it may be something, obviously, because, we're not going to bring paint clothes and, work boots and hammers and things. So
Right.
we're somewhat limited depending on what the project is. But
Yeah.
there is also, it may be that, whether it's an orphanage or some other project where they need some funding, and it may be just visiting that organization or that project, learning more about it, and then being able to make a contribution through our from our club, because
Yeah.
there are some funds available for small
Yeah.
grants from our operating budget to do that.
Yeah, well, in the budget for the trip, I've allocated $750 for each direction already.
Okay. All right.
Total of 1,500. So, it could be,
Could be something like that. But
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So I told him, here's the budget. What I was trying, and how we've done it in the past, we've got out to dinner with the club. And last year it did not work very well because whoever was the chairman there at that point took the group to a very expensive restaurant within a hotel, and it ended up costing way more than we had ever planned to. So this time, what I've instructed is let's have a hands-on project that gets done relatively quickly, and then we'll go to the mall where they got some decent restaurants that are reasonably priced. Everybody be on their own in that restaurant, so we're not running up a big tab like we did last year. We or in 23, we lost control of our costs in 23, unfortunately. So the amount of profits that we were able to give LCC for scholarships was not the amount that I was expecting.
Yeah.
Altogether with this trip this year, I expect that we will have could be as in excess of $10,000 that we will be able to donate to LCC for scholarships. So we've got a kind of a service project, in its own with that scholarship fund, but that's not the hands-on part. We will on both directions. We will stop at LCC University, and if available, the president of the university, Marlene Wall, will talk with us. She's been there for quite a few years. She's really held that university and grown that university very, very well. Very accomplished university president. So
right.
You'll get
Thank you.
LCC story.
Good. Thanks.
But you'll also get that from Anna as well. And what I've told her that there may be cities in which that she knows, one of her friends is there for the schools out. They may have gone to work in Tallinn or Riga or elsewhere, and if she would want to invite them for dinner, that would be fine. Just someone else for you folks to be able to talk with, and get a little more of a feel for what's going on there, or in who knows what country they're from, because students at LCC are from 63 different countries. So it could be from Kazakhstan or wherever, places where I've never been. So any other questions, thoughts? I see anyone in the chat, anywhere in the first group want to join me afterwards in visiting Tioman and something island in Malaysia. Oh, Akif saying that one, yeah. He said that if from there, if people want to go to Malaysia, he's got a trip planned. So,
Yeah, I mean, I can explain it much more detail. It's kind of cool because Kuala Lumpur has a direct flight to the island, Tioman Island. And it's like the resort island where all the Malaysians go, but it's really, really nice.
So,
and my island happens to be 30 minutes from there. So there just happens to be an island that has my exact name off the coast of Malaysia. So I have to go there.
I see also a comment, someone's needing a new backpack. Oh yeah, it's Octo as well, for traveling. That just reminds me, for luggage, if you do have a soft surface type of a suitcase or whatever, that really makes it a lot easier for putting things in in smaller spaces and packing up well. So, if you do have a choice, that may be something to think about. I use just I don't remember how many liter backpack that I use in my community Santiago walk. But I would probably want a little bit bigger one at this point, and my little black backpack that'll have the computer in, for the presentations on introduction to Eastern Europe history that I'll be playing. So.
Rick, this is Paula. I have a question. I've been to Eastern Europe in April and we were in winter gear. What kind of clothing? Obviously, the two trips might be a little different, but are we talking about needing,
I wouldn't say winter gear, but I would take some layers that you can take off, and because when we're going through the Baltic countries in early May, there's more chances of some showers and a little cooler weather. So it's nice to have a light rain jacket. Umbrellas, I don't necessarily recommend umbrellas, but it may not be a bad idea to throw in a poncho. But I would have some long sleeve stuff and a fleece or a warm sweater to layer on that. That should be sufficient. As you get further south, you keep shedding clothing. Because by the time we get to Warsaw and Budapest, Vienna and Budapest, things are fairly warm. People going north, it'll start warm, and by the time we get to the northern part into the Baltics, it should be quite comfortable. But perhaps a little less showery. What they have in the Baltics is a lot of not heavy rains, but sort of showers that come and go. That tend to be fairly light. None of them have ever slowed us down in what we were planning to do. But that's why I said a light raincoat could be handy, or a poncho that you can throw on and stuff back in a pack. So it's not bad weather. It's just in the Baltics in early May, on the 11th of May is still not summer. Yeah. Well, there's nothing more. Going once, anybody else? Going twice? Okay, well, we'll see you at our next Zoom meeting with the club, and as we get closer, we'll have another Zoom meeting. Meanwhile, if any of you have any questions, just feel free to contact me. You got my email and you got my phone numbers. Feel free to contact me if you need. Meanwhile, I will follow up on some of these items that I mentioned and alert you to where you can find them.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
All right, have a good
Bye,
evening.
everybody.
Thanks much.
We'll stop.
Thanks, Rick.
recording.
Bye.
Yep.